Hi, today we'll be talking about analyzing gender bias in audio deepfake detection models using counterfactual fairness. Automatic speaker verification systems help us verify the identity of a speaker, and some applications include home automation, security, etc. The accuracy of ASV systems have improved in the past decade with the help of deep learning, but also the ability to spoof and impersonate voices. Now, here are 4 common types of attacks: text-to-speech, replay, voice conversion, impersonation. It's important to build a model that accurately classifies between speech that's real and spoofed, but it's also important to ensure fair treatment to all groups of people. We ensure this with counterfactual fairness, and the definition is that the model is counterfactually fair with respect to a protected attribute such as race and gender, if changing this attribute alone does not affect the confidence and prediction of the model. We wanted to specifically ask the question whether the model's decision is biased towards a particular gender. And we mathematically formulate this below by saying that we want to investigate whether the probability of a model classifying speech as spoof is affected by changing the feature representation of gender from male to female and vice versa.
The first part of the project was to design an ASV spoof detection system using a deep neural network with a feature extractor and a backend classifier to distinguish between bona fide and spoofed audio samples using the features learned by the extractor. The second stage was to perform fairness analysis of the model using intervention of gender information and measure of total effect. We sourced data from ASV Spoof 2019 challenge. The training dataset includes genuine and spoofed speech from 20 speakers. Each spoofed utterance was generated using 1 among 2 voice conversion and 4 text-to-speech synthesis techniques in the training dataset. The development dataset consists of a similar ratio of samples generated using the same spoofing algorithms used in the training dataset.
Now, to talk a little bit about the architecture that we used, we modified a ResNet 18 with differing stride and filter sizes to accommodate our input, and we use SALU activations, which help us solve the problem of vanishing gradients and dying ReLU. We used pre-activation residual blocks, which means that batch norm and activations were applied before passing things into the convolutional layer, and we used mean and STD layers with concatenation instead of global pooling. We trained a backend classifier both separately and jointly with the feature extractor, and it consists of a fully connected layer with batch norm and dropout. Instead of using cross entropy, we used large margin cosine loss, also known as cosface. And this loss is introduced in CV-related tasks, but it turns out it's very easy to translate over into audio tasks as well. It's intended to minimize intraclass variance while maximizing interclass variance. And this explicitly maximizes the decision margin in an angular space, which allows us to learn more robust features and classification tasks.
Coming to feature extraction, we first converted raw data into frequency domain. We found that applying the constant Q transform aided faster convergence while capturing long-range information more effectively. Since generalization is the primary goal of deepfake detection, we do further pre-processing of the dataset using frequency masking. For each mini-batch, we randomly choose up to 12 frequencies to mask from the input. With the model training, the suggested method was sequential, that is training the feature extractor on LMCL loss, followed by training the backend classifier with cross-entropy loss. However, we decided to attach the backend classifier to the feature extractor and perform end-to-end training. The loss was calculated as a weighted sum of cross-entropy and LMCL loss. The class imbalance that we noted in the dataset was affecting the learning capacity of our model, so we switched to weighted cross-entropy loss. To investigate the bias of our model, we performed 3 experiments. For embedding visualization, we did TSNE clustering on the embeddings from our feature extractor and verified the distribution of male and female samples within each cluster. For the second experiment, we used the embeddings we got from the feature extractor that was trained to distinguish between spoof and bona fide classes to now train a new classifier to discriminate between male and female inputs. The idea behind this experiment was to identify if the protected attribute gender was manifesting in the learned representation of the model. Reasonable performance on such a classifier would indicate bias in its decision making. The final experiment was done to quantify the underlying bias using the total effect measure. A classifier was trained using embeddings appended with a bit explicitly representing the gender attribute of the input. During the validation phase, this bit represented the opposite gender. We do this to check the robustness of our model's fairness and quantify changes in performance metrics when explicitly given information that could unfairly bias the model.
We trained the deepfake model for 35 epochs using Adam Optimizer. To visualize the training process, we plot the loss and accuracy curves. The model converges to a balanced validation accuracy score of 98%. As the dataset is highly imbalanced, we report the AUC score, balanced accuracy, and equal error rate for the validation dataset. Our model achieved an AUC score of 0.99 and EER of 1.18%, which is comparable to the SOTA results mentioned in the base paper. For the bias analysis, we first visualize the 256-dimension embedding using TSNE. Here, the first plot shows the distribution of spoofed and bona fide samples. We observe that the spoofed labels are clustered in the center, whereas the bona fide ones form a petal-like pattern around them. The second plot captures the distribution of male and female samples. We see both the genders are uniformly distributed in both spoofed and bona fide clusters. This indicates the features learned do not show any implicit bias towards particular gender in the TSNE plots. We obtained a validation score of 33% when we trained a classifier to predict the gender using feature embeddings. This poor accuracy results further emphasize the fact that the feature embeddings learned do not contain implicit gender information. To report results from intervention, we use the model trained on gender bit concatenated feature embeddings. From the total effect value computed on validation dataset, we observe that the gender bit flipping does not have a significant impact on these ratios and thus conclude the classifier is not dependent on the additional gender bit information provided. This also helps us to analyze the robustness of a classifier with respect to the protected attribute gender.